whose possessors slay them. Possessors, the people that own us, murder us. That's what it means to slay somebody. It means to kill them without empathy, man, or consideration. To slay us. Go ahead. And hold themselves not guilty. And hold themselves not guilty like this piece of garbage, man.
What's the agenda? You niggas cowards and pretenders. White flag to the white man, you surrender. Just remember, wicked niggas love to hang with sinners. Shit is disgusting to think it's cool to switch genders. Babylon is falling, the one west is prevalent. Boots lace, warbands on, we in our element. It's evident they killing out the evidence. How we're murderers, I pray the Lord send the pestilence and cause famine. Wreak havoc and cause damage. Coronavirus took up the earth, now watch them all panic. Fighting through these curses that we live in. Prepare slaughter, complete the order when it's given. These crackers crumble, we humble their activity. For it is written that they should go into captivity. These devils must pay for their war crimes. Sell your garments and go and get a sword when it's wartime. Lace your boots when it's wartime. Go and get a sword when it's wartime. Girt your loins when it's wartime. I don't want to come when it's wartime. Lace your boots when it's wartime. Go and get a sword when it's wartime. Girt your loins when it's wartime. I don't want to come when it's wartime.
Your music can be stopped by a gun. They'll call a gun to come and kill you over your music. That's the world that you're living in, man.
Con, I don't want con when it's wartime. Can't be lukewarm, gotta make up your mind. If you ain't heard nothing, you better hear this rhyme. When it go down, you gon' have to be with your kind. Ain't no laughing, ain't no joking on the battlefield. If you don't follow the order, you can get us all killed. Ain't no thing to grab the block and versus squeeze mine. You gon' learn to do it, not the second, but the first time. 223, 308, AR-15 rifle. Warring with the dragon like I'm the Archangel Michael. I got hand grenades, I pull the pin and throw it at you quicker. I can say a prayer and send them evil curses, now you sick. If we do what the Lord tell us to do, Babylon will fall. I'm gon' do what Saul didn't do, and I'm gon' kill them all. It's time to kill, not heal, it's time to break them down, know who you are. Ain't no time to love, it's time to hate these heathens, time for war. Lace your boots when it's wartime. Go and get a sword when it's wartime. Girt your loins when it's wartime. I don't want to come when it's wartime. Lace your boots when it's wartime. Go and get a sword when it's wartime. Girt your loins when it's wartime. I don't want to come when it's wartime. Lace your boots when it's wartime. Go and get a sword when it's wartime. Girt your loins when it's wartime. I don't want to come when it's wartime. Lace your boots when it's wartime. Go and get a sword when it's wartime. Girt your loins when it's wartime. I don't want to come when it's wartime.
Even though you in the ghetto, even though you poor, even though you suffering, even though you ain't had a good education, even though you got the weight of the most powerful empire in the world on your neck, God is going to come and stop every bit of it. He's going to shut it down.
Shalom, Israel, where the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, in 1969 under Commanding General Yohanan. And tonight is our Brotherhood class. I'm Officer 50 Yakal Allah, and with me is Officer 1000 Kanak Ban Yahweh. And the title of tonight's class is Black and Brown, Unite or Die. Now more than ever is the time we so-called Blacks, Hispanics, Native American Indians need to unite and stop hating one another.
Right.
You have that verse, Autumn?
Do you want that Zephaniah 2:1?
Come on, sir.
This is the book of Zephaniah, chapter 2 and verse 1. Gather yourselves together. Yea, gather together, O nation not desired.
It's time for us to gather together. And we are the most hated people on earth. Every time they mention our countries, they say we come from shithole countries.
Right.
And every time they mention our black brothers, they say they're natural predators.
Right.
We are the most hated people on earth. Our Native American Indian brothers, they call them savages.
Right.
When our oppressor looks at us, they look at us and despise.
Right.
They despise us.
Shit, and if I could, I'd like,
Go ahead, sir.
this scripture is so heavy because it says, gather yourselves together. Yea, gather together, O nation not desired. And what make the scripture so heavy, man, because if you talk to any so-called African American or any so-called Hispanic or Mexican, and you ask them if black people need to join together, if you ask them if Mexicans need to come together, every last one of them will tell you yes.
Right.
Every last one. Should black people join together? Do black people need to come together? Yeah, man, we need to come together, man. This and that, and blah, 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 and the white man this, the white man that. You ask the Mexican, hey, do Mexicans need to come together? Yeah. Simone, we need to come together, man. Join together.
Yeah.
Todos juntos. You know what I'm saying? We all know this.
Right.
We all know that we're the nation that's not desired. Like, you can't how, like, the problem here is that black people and Hispanic people, like, they need to prove to us what this is saying is wrong.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't need to prove to them no more. It's like this is so on point. Like, prove me that what I'm saying is wrong. And they never do it, man.
Okay.
Because they all know we the nation not desired.
Right.
They all know that we need to join together. We all know it.
Right.
So, like, go ahead.
But the reason that's heavy, Adawan, but the reason why we don't join together is because we think we're different.
Right.
It was like us Hispanics think we're not the same as the blacks.
Right.
It's like we look down on our black brothers because they're a little darker than we are.
Right.
And then, so even amongst us, we look down on some of our Hispanic brothers because they're darker. Colorism plagues our people. But that is how can I say, a mindset forced on our people, fed into our people by our oppressor.
Right.
And then I was going to get into that too. That mindset is actually it's a military tactic and is known as divide and conquer. I mean, our oppressor has perfectly played this plan out on our people. And this plan has been how can I say, being executed on our people for centuries, and our people are blind to the fact of it being done to us. How can I say, can you pull 1 John 4:20?
1 John 4:20.
It's like we are suffering the same oppression by the same oppressors. The police hunt and kill our black brothers in the street, and it's not widely advertised and it's not widely known, but our oppressor have militias on the borders. They're hunting our brothers and sisters, and they're killing families on the borders. It's not widely known, but they're out there. They're training in the desert. They have how can I say, they have like military bunkers out there just waiting on immigrants just come out there. So it's not widely known, but it's happening. And then there's so many native sisters that are being unalived by our oppressor, and it's not widely advertised.
That's heavy you say that. If I could, because it's heavy you say that because how you say that it's not widely advertised.
Right.
The truth is not widely advertised.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I'm not just speaking on like the truth that we're in when it comes to knowing the truth about the scriptures. I'm talking about just the truth, period. The truth, period, is just not. It's not something that's. It's not something that's desirable in this kingdom.
Right.
In this kingdom, these heathens that rule over us. Like their culture has nothing to do with the truth at all. At all. Like, in fact, to truly love America, to truly be a patriot, and to truly, be all you can be as an American, you have to hate the truth and love the lie.
Right.
You have to fall in love with a lie, man. And you have to believe every lie that you hear and reject the truth when you hear it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's like when our people hear that truth, because we've been trained this way, just like you're saying. We've been trained, to be a certain way, to look at each other a certain way, to, not want to join together with each other, to pretty much just be the slaves that our oppressor want us to be.
Right.
To just be that. And don't sway this way or that way. Just be a slave and just go straight and do what slaves do. You know what I mean?
That's heavy.
Go ahead.
That's heavy. That's heavy that you bring that up, because there's a, how can I say, a mindset that our people sort from mejor la raza, which means like better the race. And in order to so-called better the race, our families feel like we have to marry somebody of a lighter skin, a lighter complexion.
Right.
So we can get this curse off of us, this darker skin off of us.
Right.
Our children can be born with lighter eyes, with lighter hair. I mean, and they start, how can I say, we once we move into America, once our women become Americanized, they no longer make tortillas. You know what I mean? They no longer cook. They start leaving the old values behind and become more Americanized and start loving America more.
Right.
I mean,
that's heavy.
That's heavy.
Because it's like to love America more, you have to hate who you are.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like who you are as a Hispanic woman is a woman that'll goddamn it, go in the kitchen and flip a tortilla with her bare hands.
Right.
But when you become, Americano, now it's like, no, we don't flip tortillas no more.
That's beneath you now.
Yeah, like that's what Mexicans do.
That's what what is that? I forgot what that. She like La India. I forgot what her name is, but they always say that I lost some train of thought. But there's a Mexican show, and there was like a Mexican lady on there that she portrays like an Indian, and then whenever somebody's acting like real, how can I say, real Mexican,
right? Like to their native roots.
Yeah, they're saying that you're acting that way.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Right.
That's crazy, because the self-hatred, like America, our oppressor, the so-called white man that that our people love so much, like they've succeeded.
Right. They followed that military tactic to the T.
And it works.
Right.
It works. And we see it. And we teach these classes so that we can open our people's eyes so they can see it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because it's an amazing thing. I like just to try and wrap your mind around that. Like, if you act traditional, how you're supposed to act, your culture, it's looked at as derogatory. Like, you're looked down upon.
Right. You look down upon for tending to your husband, cooking for your husband, making sure your husband needs are met.
Right.
That's derogatory nowadays.
Right. And it's so heavy in the fact that Zephaniah, the scripture we just read,
Right,
said, "O nation not desired." You know, our people know that we're the nation not desired because we don't even desire ourselves.
Wow, that's heavy.
We don't even desire ourselves, man.
That's right.
Like, oh, you acting like India.
Right.
Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or black people, Judaizers, we say, man, you acting like a nigga. Man, stop doing nigga shit.
Right.
You're always doing some nigga shit. Or you acting ghetto.
Right.
When nigga, that's our cult. That's what we do.
Right.
That's who we are. You know what I'm saying?
That's heavy. Like that's crazy because we suffer the same thing. Like mejor la raza, and it's the same thing. Like the Willie Lynch letters. It's the same thing. Or the, how can I say, the brown bag test. It's the same thing. Our people suffer the same thing.
What's that brown bag test? Go into that a little bit.
The brown bag test is back when, I think it was during Prohibition era, when the blacks were starting to have their own establishments, but to be considered the upper echelon establishment, you can only allow a certain, how can I say, a certain class within your own end. So They would have the brown bag test. If you were darker than a brown bag, you weren't allowed in.
I damn sure ain't getting in. Listen, let me read this right here. It says the brown paper bag test is a term in African American oral history used to describe a racist discriminatory practice within the African American community in the 20th century, in which an individual's skin tone is compared to the color of a brown paper bag.
That's crazy. That's
crazy. The test was used to determine what privileges an individual could have. Only those with a skin color that matched or was lighter than a brown paper bag were allowed admission or membership privileges.
That's wicked. That's weird. That's self-hatred.
Good night, dog. Good night, dog.
And us Hispanics, we have the same thing. Mejor la raza. We hate ourselves so much that we'd rather marry a lighter skinned person, a European, to lighten our offspring.
Right.
So we can be acceptable amongst ourselves.
Listen, now, let me tell you something. Judaizers do the same thing. That's how you know blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, we are the same people.
Right.
The exact same people. Because Judaizers do the exact same thing, God. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's no different. Like, the oppression that we suffered, that's why the scriptures say we were oppressed together. Because the oppression that we suffered and the results, the outcome of that oppression and of slavery it plagues all of us the same. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like it plagues all of us the same. So because we had different oppressors, different slave masters, you know what I'm saying? Like you might be Hispanic and you call it something in Spanish, right?
Right.
But to African Americans, it's like, oh, what you said, like the mejor la raza, mejor la raza, and then you would break down and explain what that is, and then I'm like, as a Judite, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's the brown paper bag test.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like we got the same exact oppressive, destructive qualities in our communities. And that's how you know we are the same people.
Right.
That's why Deuteronomy chapter 28 and 68 is so heavy, because everything that's explained, everything that's broke down, it only fits one people on the earth.
Damn right.
There's no one else that fit the description of the curses in Deuteronomy chapter 28 of the Bible, except the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Nobody else. Right. And that's how we know that we are the people of this book.
Damn right.
That's how we know.
Right. So like
Go ahead,
you got that verse?
Which one you want?
1 John 4 and 20.
1 John 4. This is the book of 1 John, chapter 4 and verse 20, and it reads, if a man say, I love God, and hateth his brother, he is a liar.
He is a what?
He is a liar.
He is a liar. If you say you love God and hate your brother's right next to you, but you don't think that's your brother. You hate that brother for absolutely no reason at all, just because he's darker than you. You're a liar. Go ahead.
For he that loveth not his brother, whom he hath seen, how can he love God?
Go ahead, sir.
Whom he hath not seen.
How can you say you love God who you have never seen God a day in your life, and you see your brother suffering alongside you, the same suffering, the same going through the same thing, the same oppressor,
right?
But you hate him just because he's a little lighter than you or a little darker than you.
Right. And if I could, you know what else you've seen on your brother? The scriptures say, how can you hate your brother who you have seen? You know what you've seen? You've seen that nappy hair.
Right.
You've seen that dark complexion. Well, your brother's black as night. You've seen that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You've seen all the things that our oppressor has taught us to look at and use it as an excuse to say that man is not my brother. Damn. Because he looks like this and I look like this. Right. You've seen those things and you hate your brother whom you have seen. You have seen, and you haven't even seen God. How dark is the Most High? Have you seen him? How dark is he? What's his skin complexion? What's his hair texture?
Right.
You haven't even seen him, and you talking about you love him, but you don't love this man? Come on now.
Right. So that goes back to divide and conquer.
Exactly.
The enemy has perfectly divided us. Therefore, he has conquered us.
Exactly.
And I'm gonna say he has done this to keep us at his feet, and to keep us fighting amongst each other, so we won't unite and rise up and I'm gonna say rise up against our oppression. We want to unite against our oppression together. the way the Lord wants us to.
Right.
I mean, he has executed that plan perfectly. Okay. But as you were saying, we seen our brother. We seen how dark skinned he is, how woolly textured hair he is, and the Bible actually describes Christ this way. Can we get that? Can you pull that Revelations 1:13, sir?
Revelations 1:13.
You say you love God and you love Christ.
Right.
But right here, this scripture is going to describe Christ. Let's get into it.
This is the book of Revelation, chapter 1 and verse 13. And it reads, and in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man.
Like unto who?
The Son of Man.
Son of Man is Christ. Go ahead.
Clothed with a garment down to the foot.
Go ahead.
And girt about the paps with a golden girdle.
So you had a garment like you see us in camp. We have garments all the way down to the foot, the fringes dragging on the floor, and we have the war belts on. That's what Christ is dressed like. But his war belt is made of complete gold. Go ahead.
Verse 14. His head and his hairs were white like wool.
Right there, it gives 2 descriptions. White as in color and wool as in texture.
Right.
Go ahead.
As white as snow.
Really, it was brilliantly white.
And his eyes were as a flame of fire.
No, they were blue.
As a flame of fire.
It wasn't no light-skinned man with light eyes.
Right.
Go ahead.
Verse 15. In his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace.
There, I got a picture of brass right here. I don't know if y'all can see it. But this is the color of brass. It's like golden brown. Go ahead. Fine brass what?
His feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace.
See, this is brass, right? This is the color of brass. It's golden brown. And this is burnished brass. I don't know. That doesn't look like an oppressor to me.
Right.
Burnished brass is brass, so you burn in a furnace. You burn anything in the furnace, it's going to get dark.
Right.
Go ahead.
And his voice as the sound of many waters.
He had a deep, loud voice. They always saying that us blacks and Hispanics are loud, right? There you go. That's the description of Christ.
And if I could,
go ahead, sir.
Like it's so heavy because many people come over here and say, we lying about this and we lying about that. Like this person over here, Negus, that's in the chat. And, you know, he just put liars in the chat. But the problem with that is the same people that come into our classes, our rooms, into our chat and call us liars for the things that we're saying, you never go to Christian pastors and Catholic priests and call them liars for the things that they say. And you know what? That's how I know what we're saying is the truth.
Damn right.
That's how I know it's the truth, man. Because none of you that call us liars will ever go to the Christian church and the Catholic church and tell them that this picture of this man is a lie. None of you will ever do it. Right. When we just sat here and read the description of the appearance of Christ and what he looked like in the Bible, and it does not look like this. at all.
No.
But you'll never go to the church and tell the church that they're liars because they taught you that this is Jesus. You'll never go to the Catholic priest and tell them that they're liars because they taught you that this is Jesus. But when we read the description of Jesus in the Bible and tell you that this is not how he looks, you call us a liar. And that's how I know that we're telling the truth, man.
Right.
That's how I know what we're saying is the truth, because the world hates the truth.
Right. And you're a liar if you hate your brother just because he's black. Christ is a black man.
Right.
The Most High is a black man.
Right.
Let's get that in the book of Daniel.
What you want? Daniel 7 and
Come on, sir. Daniel 7
and 9, I think.
Come on, sir. So we're about to get in the description of the Most High. The Most High is a black man. And what we're going to get in tonight's our brotherhood class, and we're actually going to get into a story of a brother that displayed excellent brotherhood for his brethren. Like most people want to praise Barack Obama for being the first black president in the Americas, we're going to get into a story that blows him out of the water. Go ahead, sir.
This is Daniel chapter 7 and verse 9, and it reads, I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit.
Who?
The Ancient of Days.
The Ancient of Days. The Most High. The Most High is greater than any time ever recorded.
Go
ahead.
Khan, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool.
Pure wool. Woolly hair. Go ahead.
Khan, his throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire.
Oh, that's fire right there. It's like his whips with fire. Huh? Go ahead.
Right. This is verse 10. A fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were open.
Ooh-wee.
Salaki, that's how you know this is the Most High.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the description that Daniel just laid down. Look, man, Daniel explained it, and it's so fly how he explained it.
Right.
Like that's how you know the Bible's a black man's book.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The Bible is a Hispanic man's book, man. Like we're the people that talk like this,
right?
In metaphors and similes and all this, man. That's why our music is so fly, right? And the best music on the planet, because the spirit that's in us is the same spirit that wrote this book.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Like Daniel, he ain't just say, you know, I looked up and I saw some thrones, and in the thrones there was God. Nah, he was like, listen. He was like, listen. I looked up, and before me was thrones, and the Ancient of Days did sit. Nigga, like right. The Ancient of Days did sit. Like he's the one that sat on this throne that I saw. Like this nigga was before days began. Like right. He was. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And
like he transcends all time, and like.
Right, like just the scripture, man, how he laid it down, and he's like, his garment was white as snow, and the hairs of his head like the pure wool. Like, come on, man.
Right.
What are we talking about here? Like, what are we talking about, man? Like, you're gonna tell me that God is you ever seen the God finger? It's like the that little finger when it's like this and the fingers touch. You know what I'm saying? Like
zesty like.
Yeah, man. Like, come on, bro. Like, ain't no way, man.
Yeah, ain't no way.
Ain't no way, man. When he's sitting on a throne of fire, like you're not just walking up to that throne.
No.
Just any kind of way. You know what I mean? Like, that's how you know that the white man is the devil.
Damn right.
And blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the children of Israel.
Damn right.
Period.
Is there more on this?
Go ahead. I can read more if you want me to.
We'll skip down to where it describes. I think we hammered in the point there though.
Okay.
So like start get into the article. We're about to get into this article.
Let's get it.
About this brother.
Just let me know when you're ready.
Go ahead, sir.
All right, so this is the Mexico News Daily. And this is the article about Vicente Guerrero, Mexico's role as a refuge for fugitive slaves. And it reads, almost 180 years before Barack Obama was elected, the first black president of the United States, Vicente Guerrero became the first black president of Mexico.
Right. And you want to say that Mexico doesn't respect black people, but Mexico had the first black president. And Mexicans, they want to look down on black people, but we had the first black president.
Right.
Go ahead.
Vicente Ramon Guerrero Saldana was born in 1782 to an indigenous mother and African-Mexican father.
See, African-Mexican father. See, that's also another term for how can I say division right there. They're trying to divide. The truth is he was a Judite.
Right.
Our brother. Go ahead.
His presidency was short-lived, lasting only 260 days. But in that short time, he abolished slavery throughout Mexico.
Right. Throughout Mexico. Like you hear of it's going to go into it. Go ahead, sir.
No sweat. Described by contemporaries as bronze-faced.
Bronze is the same color as brass.
Tall and strapping. Guerrero was one of the leading insurgent generals during the War of Independence. Guerrero enlisted in Jose Maria Morelos' army in southern Mexico in December of 1810. After the executions of Miguel Hidalgo in 1811 and Morelos in 1815, Guerrero emerged as the visible leader in the War of Independence.
Right. This brother rose up in ranks through this insurgency that was happening, and he came from humble beginnings. It doesn't really explain his upbringing, but he was from a very poor upbringing. Like his mom was in India, and his dad was of the descendant of the slaves, right? And his parents really, how can I say, they really sided with the Spanish crown. They were really in love with the way the Spanish was trying to impose their culture on the true Mexican people of New Spain.
Right.
And it in this article, it doesn't really explain it, but he went against his parents' beliefs and sided with uh, the 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 how can I say the revolution of going against the crown of Spain. Go ahead.
Khan, in February 1821, seeing that conditions could favor the flagging insurgent cause, Guerrero combined his forces with those of royalist leader Agustin de Iturbide. Iturbide.
Yeah.
Their combined army entered Mexico City in triumph on September the 27th. And if I could, let me just show this photo right here. That's a painting of Guerrero, Vicente Guerrero, the first black president of Mexico. And look at how they have him on the painting. When we just read in the very same article that we're reading about the history of him becoming a president and it describing his features and saying that the color of his skin was bronze, look how they have him painted. Look at the color of his skin on this painting. They still paint him they still whitewash him. The same thing they did with Jesus Christ.
Right.
Just how we just finished reading the scripture about Jesus Christ and said his color was as he burned in the furnace, and then they give you the picture of a white man. You read about Vicente Guerrero, and it says that his color is bronze, and then they give you a photo of a white man. Come on, man. Come on. I'm going to read on. The first 30 years following independence were turbulent, with heads of state coming and going in rapid succession. 49 presidencies between 1824 and 1857. Guadalupe Victoria, the first president of Mexico, was the only president to complete his full 4-year term. Victoria came to power by overthrowing Iturbide's Mexican Empire, Mexico's first independent government, alongside other military leaders, including Guerrero. Freemasonry.
Go ahead and skip that, sir. Go
No,
down
sir.
Down to just the second Vicente Guerrero Short's pregnancy. This is how he came. This is how he became presidency. That's how we got the presidency right here.
Okay, let me see where you at.
It's just down here.
Okay, I got you. All right, so Vicente Guerrero's short presidency. Pedraza won, with Guerrero coming in second in an indirect election by state legislators. But Guerrero's supporters accused Pedraza, Minister of War under President Victoria, of using the military to influence the election. 2 weeks after the election, Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna, governor of Veracruz and a former officer in the War of Independence, called for nullifying Pedraza's election and declaring Guerrero president.
See that Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna, that's the very influential person in history. We hear about Santa Anna in the Battle of the Alamo, and actually, when you look into the Battle of the Alamo, Mexico was fighting the oppressors that stole Texas because of slavery.
Right.
That's the truth of the Alamo.
Right.
Mexico abolished slavery, but the American settlers that came into Texas still wanted to keep their slaves and went to war against Mexico because of that.
Right.
Go ahead.
Khan, in November 1828, Guerrero's supporters marched into Mexico City and violence erupted. President-elect Pedraza resigned and fled to England, and Guerrero became president.
See, That just lets you know Pedraza was a criollo. What a criollo is a Spanish descendant born in Mexico, and a lot of criollos still to this day hold power in Mexico. Like you hear of major companies like let's say Pemex or like major companies are like Patron, like the family that owns the whole estancia or the farms that have the agave that grow the agave for the tequila Patron. That family that owns all that land, they're criollos. That they've owned that land for centuries.
Right.
They've stole that land from the natives and got the natives to cultivate the land.
Right.
And name the natives Christian names. That's how us Hispanics got our last names, is through the encomienda system that the criollos established in our land. But that's just another history lesson. Go ahead.
Right. Khan. The third place runner-up in the election, a conservative former royalist military officer named Anastasio Bustamante, became Guerrero's vice president. Guerrero, who was seen as a liberal hero of the independent and was visibly mixed race, represented a step towards empowering Mexico's indigenous, mixed race, and black majority, which alarmed the Criollo aristocracy.
See, this brother was uniting the brotherhood, and that's what they were afraid of. That's the truth of it. He was uniting the northern kingdom with the southern kingdom, and that is what our oppressor is deathly afraid of.
Right.
Because he knows once we unite, it's over for him. It's over.
Right.
Go ahead.
Khan. Abolishing slavery in Mexico. Although several states had abolished slavery upon independence, Guerrero took it a step further and abolished the condition of slavery throughout Mexico. On September 15th, 1829, 34 years before Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation, Guerrero issued a decree that slavery was abolished in the Republic of Mexico and that those who had been enslaved were now free.
3 decades before America freed the slaves, Mexico did it.
Wow.
By a black president. If this is not ammunition to unite us blacks and Hispanics, we just need to wake up, because this brother did it, and he abolished slavery, and they were afraid of him.
Right.
And that's why they killed him. We'll get it. We'll go into it. I think it goes into it. I'm not sure. Go ahead.
Khan says several months later in December, Guerrero was deposed by a rebellion led by Bustamante. He fled south to assemble troops to fight the rebellion, but was captured in Acapulco by a Genovese merchant ship captain, Francisco Picaluga, and was paid 50,000 pesos for his role in the coup plot.
Oh, man.
Picaluga turned Guerrero over to federal troops in Oaxaca.
Salaki, sir. What is Oaxaca?
Oaxaca.
But Salaki, sir, that's how they pronounce it in Spanish, but in how you pronounce it in Nahua is Oaxaca. It's almost like Yashakar.
Right.
It's almost like it.
Right.
But anyway, Salaki, sir, right there where Francisco Picaluga, they paid him 50,000 pesos to turn his brother in.
Damn.
It sounds
Sound familiar.
sounds familiar, don't it?
So Judas. This nigga was the Iscariot Judas, bro.
Right.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Where he was court-martialed and executed by firing squad in the town of Culapan. Historian Juan Ortiz Escamilla writes that Guerrero's government was discredited not because he headed a supposedly illegitimate government, but because he was black.
Right.
Black Guerrero, as the Mexican city aristocracy pejoratively referred to him. Damn,
Right.
Black Guerrero. What does Guerrero mean in
Guerrero means
Spanish?
warrior.
So he's a black warrior.
He was uniting the tribes.
Right.
In
Right.
reality, he was uniting the tribes.
Right.
But yeah, he wasn't doing it in truth,
Right.
but in a sense, he was.
Right. I mean, he still
doing it in brotherhood.
he still had the spirit of brotherhood on.
Right.
Because look, even where it says the aristocracy pejoratively referred to him as Black Guerrero, what you have to keep in mind is this aristocracy that it's talking about is talking about the criollos.
Right.
They were the aristocracy.
Right.
They were the Spaniards. They
Right.
were the Europeans. They were the white man.
Right. That's still hold power over in Mexico.
That's who they were.
And they were just they were upset that he abolished slavery. That's all it
Right.
was.
That's all it was. Let's see, who was Salakia, let me see. Okay, so
They referred to him.
as the Black Guerrero,
Yeah.
they hated him because they were segregationists and because he impeded the preservation of their rights.
Ooh, dang.
They killed him in a bold-faced act of racism. My phone just died. They killed him in a bold-faced act of racism. Abolishing slavery in Mexico opened a new route to freedom for people escaping slavery in the United States, especially those in Texas and Louisiana. Ooh-wee. Historian Alice Baldwin Gardner, author of the groundbreaking 2020 book, South to Freedom, Runaway Slaves to Mexico and the Road to the Civil War, estimates that thousands of enslaved people reached freedom in Mexico.
Right. See, this brother by abolishing slavery in Mexico, he accomplished what they were afraid of. And it opened up the railroad for slaves to go into Mexico and be free.
Damn right, huh? Damn right. And that's so heavy because as so-called Black people here in America, we're taught that the Underground Railroad, we talk about Harriet Tubman, and we're taught that the Underground Railroad led north. But the truth is, the Underground Railroad, when it started in its inception, it went south.
Right.
Across the Rio Grande into Mexico, and it was started by a Black man in Mexico named Vicente Guerrero, who had an indigenous mother and a so-called African American or African as a father.
Right.
Who were slaves. And the people that went against him were the Europeans, the criollos, who were Europeans,
right,
white people that went against him in his entire damn presidency and everything that he was doing for the people.
Right. And that's heavy, Ottawa, because this brother started from the bottom and made his way up to presidency, and he did not forget about his people at the bottom. He did not forget about it. Like he fought to free his people. He didn't have to do that. As soon as he became president, he could have turned his back, and lived comfortably in a big palace, and you know what I mean?
Right.
But he did not forget about it. His brother lower than him.
Right.
So like y'all want, can you Matthew 25:40?
Matthew 25:40.
And how can I say? We need to remember the days of old.
Right.
And go back to it and come back together, because we are all we have. We're going through all this depression together. All this oppression together. But we're looking at each other as we're different. We need to come together in the spirit of brotherhood, just like how this brother brought us together. We need to come together again.
Right.
You got that other one?
Khan, this is Matthew chapter 25 and verse 40, and it reads, "And the king shall answer and say unto them, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye have done it unto one of the least of these my brethren, ye have done it unto me."
Right. The least. This brother Vicente, he was the president. At first he started out low, just like them, but he was the president. He could have forgot all about them.
Right.
He could have forgot about them when he was general.
Right. And if I could, that's what a lot of y'all niggas do. That's the only reason why y'all niggas want to become wealthy and rich and make it in America, so that you can forget about where you come from and who your people are, so you can move into a white neighborhood, so you can send your kids to school with white kids. That's the only reason why. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But this brother right here, the spirit of brotherhood was so strong on him that he did the opposite.
Right.
He did the opposite, man. He made it to the top. He made it. Just imagine if a nigga from, you know what I mean, like a nigga from the barrio becomes president of America.
Somebody
from
Milpas.
Las Milpas.
Yeah.
It's a nigga from the Balboa becomes president of America. And then he doesn't forget about the Balboa.
Right.
He doesn't forget about Las Milpas. He doesn't forget about his people, the least of the kingdom. That's the type of man that truly serves Jesus Christ.
They're right.
That's the type of man that truly has the spirit of the Lord on him, man. Straight up.
But just kicking us out of here. Just shut it down.
Yeah, shit. So with that, man.
With that, Shalom Yahweh B'Shem Yoshua Barakatah to the brothers. Shalom Yahweh Shemar Latah B'Shem Yoshua to the sisters. I'm gonna hand the class over to priest and officer of 1000 Kanak Yahweh.
Yeah, and with that, man, like, share, subscribe all the classes, and make sure that you tune in, man, every Tuesday for the scripture breakdown class. Every Tuesday, ISUPK RGV Kanak on Facebook, ISUPK Rio Grande Valley on Facebook, ISUPK RGV on YouTube. Tune in, man, so you can get these breakdowns, so you can get this history, because it's gonna keep coming to you. It's never gonna stop. No matter how much you hate it, no matter how much you want it to stop, it's going to continue, because the truth shall prevail, man. And you just need to get down with the truth, man. Lock into these scriptures, ask questions. If you have questions, you can always put your questions in the chat. And with that, again, Shalom Yahweh Shem to the brothers. Shalom Yahweh Shem Yahweh to the sisters, man.